And welcome back to the program. And today and now joining us in studio is Joe Delarone from the Mohawk Council of Kahnawake, Gwotdoga TV, and Steve Bonspiel, the editor and owner of the Eastern Door here in Kahnawake. So, of course, before the break, we were talking about Jesse Deer and this tremendous loss that the community has undergone at this point, and how shocking all of this really is. Mm-hmm. Guys, if you can share some of your experiences and how did you guys come to hear about this news, and what was your reaction?
Go ahead. No, go ahead, Joe.
First thing in the morning, I guess, as it happened, and it's devastating is really what it was. And I'd known Jesse now for several years. He's I guess it hits you in all kind of ways. I mean, he's my son's age, so just on that level, it was kind of scary. But we immediately talked to the people that he was working with directly at K103, and it was just everyone is devastated, completely devastated. I can't even explain the depth of how people felt.
I just couldn't believe that. I mean, we always talk about Jesse being larger than life, and just such a personality and such a part of Kahnawake, and to all of a sudden have him taken from us like that was unfair. I felt, I mean, he had so much more to give, and he'd already given so much to the community, and I still have a heavy heart as we speak. I mean, I don't know how long it's going to take for the community to get over it.
Mm-hmm. And now, one of the reasons why we had invited other media personalities in the community to come on the program was because Jesse worked for all the media in the community, and he really did have that ability to do that. Now, if you guys want to share some of your experiences working with him, and
Well, first of all, Jesse was he wanted to be the Howard Stern of Kahnawake, the king of alt media, and in a way he was, because I can't really think of anybody who's worked for all three media at the same time, and when he approached us to write for us, he did it for free. Like, he just wanted to do it for the love of writing. He didn't ask for any money. He just wanted to get out there and say, I want to see how, if I'm as interested in writing as I am in radio. So let me try it out, And through his column that he started to write for us for a little while, he kind of revealed, a lot of the things, inner feelings that he had about, and he was very frank. I mean, he didn't pull any punches, and he didn't try to hide anything. He was out there and up front, and I think readers really appreciated that. So my experience with Jesse writing for the Eastern Door was nothing but positive.
Okay.
Yeah, for us, I mean, I wear two hats in this instance. I'm on the board at K103, and also I work with KTV, with Mohawk Council. I'll start with KTV. He, because he had already been doing this with radio and then with the Eastern Door and you guys, and he just was exactly like that. I'm going to try this, and he volunteered his time, and we said this yesterday when we talked about him. People pass away, and it's sad.
Yeah.
But Jesse, his passing is something a little different. He's somebody who was not retired, not someone who had done this years ago when we remembered him. He was somebody who was doing this now, and having an effect. And I think that if there's a legacy that he's going to leave to Kahnawake, it's one to the younger people, because we always hear about how young people feel like no one listens to them, and there's a disconnect, and like who listens and who cares. Jesse showed that if you as a young person care enough to say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to try this, I'm going to try and make a positive impact, I'm going to get involved, that you can make an impact. And he had a huge impact. He wasn't, never mind the media stuff. He was sitting on the committee, the visioning committee. He was an important part of that as the youth intern, and he was tremendously interested in that. He was at the community decision-making process, and so much so he was involved that the group that he was in asked him to be their speaker. And things like that. This is all around, not just the media thing, not just looking for attention, but saying, I'm getting involved in this community, I'm going to make a difference, I'm going to try. And to me, if there's going to be a legacy, it's that people need to get involved, and you can make a difference. You really can. He did, And that's why I guess people are so saddened by his passing.
Yeah. Well, he invested a lot in everything that he did. He was always and he was always so positive. And as we all know, he had, several challenges, not, of which he spoke in the newspaper about several of his challenges and different things. And of course, with the accident that happened earlier on this year, things like that. And he was always, and I think for me, that's what surprised me about the whole thing, was that I just expected him to keep coming back, because he was so enthusiastic and he was so articulate and so witty about everything that he did.
Yeah.
And he was so positive about everything.
And I think that people really followed his progression back into, to get better. Because
'Cause he was out
always
there.
giving updates, and you know
Yeah.
what I mean? And, it was big that when he initially got in her, and then, we all followed his progression back into a good place. And then, it was just really sporadic that he got sick again, and then next thing you know, he was back in the hospital, and then it just happened so quickly, though,
Yeah, it was exactly a
You
month.
think, it's just a flu, or,
Well, that's kind of what it started as.
Yeah, yeah.
The H1N1.
Yeah.
And it just went worse from there. But, you just realize that here's a guy who a month ago was at the Bruins fundraiser. He actually
Yeah.
spoke on our behalf. Christine, you were there.
I was there.
Yeah, and he was involved working for KTV and speaking on behalf of K103 and just being there as a fan of hockey. He was also one of those who helped to get some of the items for the silent auction. He did everything. But it's one thing when people pass away, everybody talks nicely about them, and you remember then you remember that, well, he did this or she did that, and then they were not. The thing about Jesse is you really have to struggle hard to find something nasty to say or bad to say, because I couldn't find anything. He really was that positive guy who, like Christine, you said, he had his challenges, we knew that, but he didn't complain about them.
No, you never
He
heard
didn't.
about that.
I went and visited him in the hospital, and he was never sitting there saying, look at this,
Poor me kind of
poor
thing.
me. There was none of that. It was like, when can I get back to work? Am I going to get a computer so I can write some things? And he was just that kind of guy, and he is going to be tremendously missed. We miss him now.
Well, even his first day in the hospital, he didn't get a laptop for, I don't even know if he ended up getting a laptop, but he ended up writing by hand, like some of his stuff that he wanted to go in the Eastern Door, just to keep track of what was going on to him daily. And he said, he would tell us, I'm not ready yet to release it, but when I am,
Right.
I have it here. So he'd give it to us, and then we type it up, and it would go in the door. And he was just, he was always trying to make sure that people learn from his situation. Especially when he was in the hospital. He was, like you said, he never pitied himself. He never felt bad about the stuff that life was throwing at him. He just dealt with it, and he moved on, and he was always positive.
You get the sense that he maybe had a premonition that he wasn't going to be here that long, because he packed so much in. And there's things that you forget about. He was a color commentator for the Condors games. There's things like that just get thrown out because you forget. For some, that's their accomplishment. I was once on the radio doing this. That's just one of the,
One of
dozens
the myriad of things that he did.
He was doing everything. He did commercials, was a great commercial writer, a great producer, a pretty darn good writer and effective, as you can see, and a good communicator, and he made people laugh, to boot.
Yeah, to boot, that was the main thing. And you know what, even the stuff that he's been doing recently, there was stuff going back to when he was a teenager. I remember my wife Tracy went up north with him on, it was kind of like a nation building type of thing for the youth. And, he was maybe 13 or 14. He was already interested in other people. And already trying to learn as much as he could about, the Crees and other cultures. And he was, like you said, it was almost like he was put on this earth to do as much as he can. And he might have known that, eventually one day he will be taken away before his time.